Hey guys, we've got my good friend here, Leah Latini, and recently I took her through a mindset session where we released some limiting beliefs. And I wanted to share this with you because she had such amazing shifts and it was so cool. I'm like, we have to get on a call and share this with everyone. So thanks for jumping on, Leah.
Totally. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to share.
Yeah. So can you share a bit about like, I guess how you were feeling before the session and anything you want to share that kind of came up in the session, first of all?
Yeah, it's so I was preparing to travel to Bogota, Colombia,
Mm.
for business and it was kind of ironic because of course I've been wanting to have this experience of traveling for work, exotic places like Colombia for so long. And I was having a lot of anxiety around it
Mm.
for a lot of reasons. So one of the things that came up was just and that I didn't even realize was the insecurity of like being good enough.
Mm.
Um, and which is funny because I feel very confident in a lot of parts of my business, but for some
Mm.
reason, this new experience was bringing this up for me.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other side of it, which was very dominant in my conscious mind, was just the fact that I've developed kind of a strange, fear of flying.
Mm.
And I say it's strange because I grew up in an airline family. I flew since I was 9 months old, all the
Wow.
time, everywhere, my whole life. And over the last like 10 years, it's just gotten progressively worse.
Mm.
Um, and so I've done things like avoided trips just because I don't want to get on a plane.
Yeah.
So this trip there was no way I could get out of it. And
Mm.
I really wanted to go on top of
Mm.
it. So
Yeah.
that was kind of where the session started.
Yeah. I think that's interesting. Like, I was like, wow, because you didn't tell me, I didn't know that about the airline family thing. Do you think that's because, like, since you had kids, you're like responsible for other human beings? And, if something went wrong, like all of that's running through your head? Or is it from that or something else?
That's a good question. I think that amplified it for
Mm.
sure. Um, but I think that it really has to do with letting go of control.
Yeah.
And it's, like I said, like my conscious brain, I would answer you, sorry, and say, yeah, it's because of my kids.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm consciously thinking about. But I think
Yeah.
the root of it really has more to do with control.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Yeah.
And that's a really good point because I was actually talking to someone this morning on an interview saying the trigger, the thing that shows up in front of us, whether it's a person or a thing, it's not really about that thing.
Hmm.
There's always something deeper. So it's not really about the getting on the plane or about even the kids is another level down. It's something even deeper. So
Yep. Yep.
that's cool. And
Definitely.
and it's interesting the not good enough thing that you brought up as well. I think it's really cool that you shared that because there are a lot of people who are successful business owners like you. You're doing some amazing things at the moment, and they are too caught up in their ego to say, "Oh, I had this belief come up," or "I had this struggle," or whatever. So
Yeah.
first of all, I think it's cool that you aren't in your ego and you can share that. And then secondly, it's like we can feel like we are enough. We can feel worthy. We can be a really confident human being who's achieving amazing things, but still have this come up. And you
Hmm.
may have worked on it before, and that doesn't mean the work you've done before didn't work, or it doesn't mean because you had not good enough or self worth stuff come up that you don't believe that you're worthy at all, or you're totally not good
Yep.
enough. But it shows up, like you said, anytime we are stepping out of our comfort zone, going to the next phase, the next level, doing something new and kind of scary. And it means
Yep.
that we can then, dig deeper and have a higher level of worth, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just having it be this new experience that is totally a little intimidating, and it definitely was a trigger for sure. And what I think is also interesting is that before I spoke to you, I was in my like anxiety tunnel of
Mm.
the plane and the fear and going through the whole flight and thinking in my head over and over, like the panic, basically like manifesting the panic attack I was going to have on the plane. Right.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was doing.
Preempting the worst case scenario.
Yeah. And so, but the first exercise that we went through was just very simple. And when you had taken me through the visualization of just imagining myself on the other side, Amelia, imagining myself on the other side of, arriving safely. What does it look like? 15 minutes after the flight lands, you're probably in customs, you're, whatever, trying to get your bag and whatnot. And that was really, really helpful. I felt immediately better, but then on the plane itself, that I just went back to that and did that over and over and over.
Yeah.
And it really helped make me calm for the entire flight. So that was cool. And then I'll share with you the funny thing that I was telling you about before, about when I got into the taxi in Bogota. But first I want to say also, I think that going into the deeper exercise that we went into about what sort of past issues it might be attached to, I think that was, that was key for sure, because I released a lot of emotions at that point.
Yeah, so, totally. So before you go into the taxi incident, so for everyone listening, what Leah was just talking about, we first did some timeline therapy using NLP to release the belief that I'm not good enough. And with that, you really stepped into your power and let go of a lot of things. And because of that, and just the action you've been taking as well, you've been creating amazing results for your clients, amazing opportunities, seeing yourself as this strong, determined, direct, kind of powerful woman, instead of going, oh, like, I'm not good enough to go and, pitch a $60,000 contract or go and do this. Now you're going and doing those big things you were scared of before, which was really cool. And then from the anxiety one, that was just a short exercise. And it's so cool that you not only did that with me, but then because it is so simple, you're able to go over it yourself. And it's just a quick thing you can do, but so powerful.
I was like, Amelia, stop. Oh, is it? Okay, there we go. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So I would say also that it's going through the deeper exercise. What I didn't realize is that anxiety of the plane was attached to all these insecurities, and it wasn't just this one thing, this one physical fear. And after going through it, and then going through the plane ride and all of that, and then all the way back to when I got home, you've seen Office Space? Have you seen the movie Office Space?
No, I don't think so.
You gotta see that movie. Okay. So Office Space, he goes into this session where he's hypnotized and he says to the therapist, I want to go to work and not think I'm at work. And so she like hypnotizes him to think that he's not really at work. So he comes out of there like basically like in a daze, like, and does things he would never do, totally the opposite of what you would think you should do at work.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I have felt the last month since I've been home from my trip, which is weird. Cool. But it's like I'm almost like consciously looking at the way that I feel, like subjectively, like removed, and looking at myself and going, wow, you're really calm. Wow, you're really confident. Yeah, cool. Wow, you're really happy. You're really whatever. And it's like very strange. It's been very surreal. And it's been super cool. So
rewiring your brain. Yes.
Yeah, totally. I mean, 100%. Yeah. So I have to share with everybody the funny taxi ride story, though. This is really funny. So some of the fear about my trip also involved the fact that I am a woman, and traveling to Colombia on my own was a little bit intimidating. And I've never been anywhere in Latin America other than, Mexico, which is not really it's not part of Latin America or South America, or Central America, excuse me. And so, and I don't speak Spanish at all, which is, also very intimidating. Yeah. So I think everybody has like a stigma attached to, what Colombia might be like if you haven't
Mm.
been there.
Yeah.
And so when I got there, again, I was kind of like in a daze, this happy daze. And I went, and like the line, Bogota, Colombia is the capital of Colombia. It's a very business focused city, and it's very
Mm.
busy.
Mm.
And I had a great time, by the way. Everybody should go to Colombia. It's great.
Mhm.
But I had to get a taxi. And so I'm by myself, and I go and I stand in this long line of taxis, and I get this guy who barely speaks English. Nobody really speaks English. But we were able to communicate, whatever. And I'm in traffic. Bogota traffic is like Delhi. Like that is how bad it is, where
Yeah.
you go like a little bit, but they're driving like Italians, like craziness. And so I'm in the back of this tiny little taxi, and I'm just like in this daze. And I start thinking to myself, like, how would I know if this guy wanted to kidnap me? How would I know if he was going somewhere other than my Airbnb? Like, how would I know any of these things?
Mm.
And if I jumped out of the car, would anyone even help me, because I don't speak the language and like whatever?
Yeah.
And so my brain started going. And then all of a sudden, like in this weird state that I was in, my brain started like answering these fears back. And it was like, well, if he kidnaps you, that's no big deal. You'll just talk to them, get to know them, and then find out what they need from you and give it to them. And then they'll release you. And like, maybe
Well,
you'll make a good relationship. Like maybe you'll, make a good relationship. It'll be a great moment and this opportunity for these people to have a connection with you, and you'll have a connection with them. And I'm like, am I really thinking about this? This is so weird. And then I was like, but it wasn't just like this weird fantasy. Like I was really like, whatever happens today, I'll be okay with it.
Like
Which
believing
is,
it. Mm.
yeah. And not having this fear of like, oh my gosh, something bad's going to happen to me and I don't know how to react. It was like, no matter what comes,
Mm.
I'm going to take it, because that's the path that I'm on, and I'm going to
Mm.
make the most of it no
Yeah.
matter what it is. And that's really what it felt like. It wasn't just this crazy, like, I'm tired kind of
Yeah.
dreamland. So yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
awesome. And I
Tell
went on
me
to,
about, what happened in the taxi ride after that?
oh, which part?
Because didn't you get lost and you were in a?
Oh, that was the second taxi ride. That was the
Oh,
second taxi
okay.
ride. Yeah. Yeah. That was when I actually thought that I was being kidnapped, and I found out that he was just using Waze because he wanted to get around the traffic, and it all worked out. But suffice it to say that I was okay with all of it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And it was great. I made a lot of really cool connections and met some amazing people. And Colombia is just an incredible experience that I would not have had if I had, given into the fear.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like we have to face our fears, and we have to face the things that feel uncomfortable and feel scary, because when we do, we not only we heal the patterns and the wounds and the limiting beliefs and the things from our past, and not only do we do that, but we realize that it actually wasn't that bad, and we create amazing opportunities and things in our life. Whereas if you
Yeah. And
fall back on that, you just stay small.
yeah, exactly. And you stop yourself from growth, where I am shocked. I mean, I'm somebody that is actually, very aware of myself and wanting to improve myself and improve, how I handle things. And I am shocked, because the journey like never stops. You're always learning, you're always moving forward and learning more. And I just can't get over how much truly is in your head, and how you handle
Mm.
the world around you completely affects how you see your future, which I think is super important, because the exact same events can happen to
Mm.
different people,
Yeah.
or to the same person, but with different, training,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And the way you react to it is totally different, and it affects what happens next. And
Yeah.
that's incredible, like
Totally.
mind blowing.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the things then, if you can share, like some of the opportunities and the actions you've been taking because of this shift in mindset? And yeah, and like kind of where you're at now.
Yeah. I definitely, oh, sorry. My dog is barking. So since that trip and that whole experience, I definitely, like I said, I've been kind of shocked at how much the mindset work has shown itself naturally
Mm,
in just my everyday life and being able to look at myself and how I'm handling a situation confidently,
mm,
or just playing bigger and being really comfortable with playing bigger, I think is the big
mm,
thing, because I'm someone, I think most entrepreneurs are somebody who always has like a big dream,
mm,
and and maybe you get a few large opportunities and you're working on things and you're leveling up every time,
mm.
but I think it's normal to think like the next step from where you are now
Yeah.
is impossible when obviously you've already come like 1,000 steps.
Yeah.
Um, but this time, what I've really noticed is I go for these opportunities that are bigger and just on a different level from anything I've ever done before.
Mm,
Um, I've been working in marketing for 10 years, and I love all the clients I've been able to help so far. I love my work.
mm,
But I've always wanted to go bigger and go, instead of a $10 million company, go to a $100 million company.
mm.
And just get to that next level. And so this has really helped me. I mean, I was telling you, I just submitted the largest proposal I've ever had
Yeah.
um last week,
Yeah.
and it's something that I feel totally confident about. Whereas usually much smaller contracts, I might be freaking out, like, oh, am I going to get it? Am I going to this or am I going to that? This
Mm,
is like a huge contract. And I've got 3 more at that level
yeah.
that are going to be in the next month
Yeah.
that I have zero anxiety about it.
Mm,
Nothing,
yeah.
because it's
That's
like,
awesome.
this is what it's worth.
Mm,
This is how much it costs.
yeah.
And if it's not a good fit, that's fine, because the right fit's going to move in.
Yeah.
And I just feel it. Like I don't have any anxiety. I'm sleeping very well.
That's
So
awesome. And because I remember before that session as well, you were struggling with boundaries. And if someone didn't want to do something, you would kind of like go against your boundaries or your rules you'd set for yourself and just be like, oh, okay, like, and doing too much for people. So
yes.
you've changed all of that as well, which is awesome.
Gosh, yeah, that's the biggest thing, because I'm
Mm,
somebody who really loves my clients, and I think a lot of us do, where it's like, oh, I just love them. They're so amazing. I want to help them.
yeah.
And whether it's a big team of people at a company or just one person, I work with influencers a lot of times,
Mm,
and it's like we build strong bonds,
yeah.
and that's great. But if you don't set boundaries, it's hard
Yeah.
to grow. And I've always had problems with this,
Mm,
because it's like, oh, well, we don't want to pay that, but we really want to work with you. And I'd be like, oh gosh, I just want you guys to be so successful.
yeah.
What
Yeah.
about me being successful? What is that
Yeah.
supposed to mean?
Yeah.
So
Totally. Yeah. It's not a great way to start a relationship, right?
no. So
Yeah.
and
And I can
even
relate.
though, yeah, we all do it. But I mean, I think that what's funny is that that's something I've known about myself
Mm,
for 15 years. Like,
mm.
I knew that. I could have told you that. I probably did. But it's the idea that if I've known it for 15 years, why haven't I changed it?
Yeah, because
That's
it's
a good
not logic.
question.
It's not logically knowing it, right? It's the unconscious that's playing it out.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Huge. And people, I mean, like, I didn't know, um, like I've been telling you in the past, I think that I just learned about NLP like maybe 6 months before I met you, just kind
Mm,
of heard about it and learned about what it was. And I've been totally blown away with just a little bit of work we've been able to do. I'm just like,
yeah.
this is amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank
And
you for that.
That's all right. Yeah. And this was like literally in one session. Like I've had people that have
Like
gone to
20
counseling.
minutes.
Yeah. I've had people that have gone to counseling for years and then done one session with me and let go of things they hadn't let go of in years. Like the example you just gave as well, knowing that for
Yep.
15 years, Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And I mean, I've been in therapy for years too. And it's like,
Mm.
um, just because you know it, like we said, just because you consciously know it doesn't mean you know how to change it. And
Yeah.
like, and it isn't a conscious change. It's, I mean, that's what's been so weird is that like it has not been me consciously doing anything. It's
Mm.
been like with the plane ride and over playing that over in my head, that visualization, that was
Yeah.
conscious and I did
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But the other stuff has been very subconscious, unconscious mind.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And I
Yeah.
love all of this. I guess to wrap it up, it just shows for everyone why working on your mindset's so important, why it's not just either the logical things that you already know from mindset or the logical strategy. If they're not, putting themselves out there, getting the results that they want, it's really doing this work to be able to get fast results and literally transform these your perspective on things.
Yeah. And the funny thing is that people who aren't familiar with this stuff, it's like, is that real? I've had questions like, is that really real? Does that really work? And it's like, no, but this kind of thing happens and you're like, wait a second.
Mm, mm,
Oh, it
yeah.
is working. It's
Yeah.
awesome. So
Totally.
yeah.
Totally. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing. I
Yeah.
really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me on.
Yeah, and I think people will get a lot out of this.
Cool. I
Cool.
can't wait to do more.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.